Hello, once again, Troy A. Shadowing Chronics. Missed yesterday, upset about it. BW World Building Project, day 11. And yeah, I'm kind of getting annoyed that the month I choose to do this seems to be chaotic. But, so what are we doing with the project today? Well, today I decided I wanted to try and outline just what pieces of lore do I need to create for Captain Eviltide, for my Christmas superhero comic. And screen share is kind of iffy with me sometimes, so I'm just going to bring this over here. It goes on forever. I'll fix that. So I don't. Let me see if I can. So basically, here are the bits of lore that I've decided really need to, because I don't want to. Like I said, said before, I don't want to go through every last detail because I kind of want to make sure that I have room to play with later. I just want to create some kind of building blocks for how we're gonna for what we're going to do. And so I got it. So I made a brief outline, and I'm not really very good at making outlines. Even as a kid, I didn't like making outlines in school. I just wanted to put out make a list, and that was it. So it's not. So this is kind of the outline that I came up with, and I think I can't tell because I can't see, because when I get this on here, I can't see what the camera's seeing. I wonder if I can shoot over real quick. Okay, yeah, that'll work. Well enough. I'll do so. Come down here. I'll come down a little bit. So reindeer. I need to come up with a reason for reindeer flying. And here's a bit of lore I don't know if anybody else ever thinks about. The difference between Christmas and traditional reindeer. Because think about it. How many you bring up? Yeah, let me bring up an image search for. Oh, out of the way. Google Doc, get out of the way. You do an image search for reindeer and bring in images. This is what an actual reindeer looks like, but if you look at the difference between the traditional Christmas reindeer and real life reindeer, you can see that the Christmas reindeer more often than not looks closer to deer than it does to reindeer. If I can bring up just for example, I'll bring up Christmas. It doesn't really look the same. You may have some good ones, but this one here, this kind of looks a little more deerish. A lot of the traditional reindeer images look kind of like reindeer, like deer. See, this one's, I don't know if you can see this one, but that one's really, really reindeerish there. This one, it doesn't, or really deerish. That really looks like just a deer with a red nose. So I kind of want to come up with an interesting little reason why that is. And I think that just kind of playing fun on the fact that that there is such a big difference. And I'll come back to that in a moment. So, wrong one. There we go. So I want to kind of like play around with that. And Santa Claus, how does he deliver toys all those toys in one night? And then his origin. Christmas Village, where is it in the North Pole? And I should add Why can't people find it on Google Earth? Or just Santa. I wrote this one down as to give you an example of what I'm not going to do. I don't really care about Santa Claus's origin. I kind of like it because everybody's got their own idea. Is he all these different origins? I just kind of want to have fun with the fact that nobody knows where Santa comes from. So it's like this big mystery, like who's the Doctor? Kind of like on Doctor Who. For the longest time, we didn't know who he was. I don't think it's important to this story. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of movies and TV shows and everything that already give their own ideas. I'm going to kind of ignore that entirely. So I wrote that just to show you guys the idea what I'm talking about when I say I don't want to go over everything, just because some things I want to play with later or something. In that case, I kind of like the mystery. But something like this actually plays into my origins for Christmas Village. Then I got the questions about the Grand Tree, Captain Yuletide's powers. Bryce has just got magic, so I'm not worried too much about Bryce. And then the companions of Santa. There's some good companions, and there's some bad companions. Let me show you something neat here. Here's a website, St. Nicholas Center, which lists all these different characters that have traveled with Santa in various folklore and traditions. And there's some that are kind of mean. There's some that are actually helpful. And this gives me an idea for potential other characters that can show up in the comic, allies, potential enemies for Captain Yuletide, and I can have a lot of fun with that. Then I've got this site here, Sint and Santa. Oh, there you are. St. Nicholas. It's a Santa Claus website. There's a whole lot of Santa Claus websites, and that makes my job a little bit easier because I can look at all these various ideas and from there kind of say, well, I like this idea. Let me add this to the Captain Yuletide lore. So there's a whole bunch of questions here that I can use. And then SantaClaus.com has a whole bunch of frequently asked questions and their ideas on where those come from. So I can play with that as well. And that's kind of something really neat. Is I can actually access this more. And I can pull things from other ideas that people have had. Where's that here? Other questions that people have asked over the year. I can so over the year I can look at various fictions and use that, and then I can also come up with some of my own ideas. So I can kind of research the Santa Claus lore that exists and then also do some of my own thing. And I really want to take and I don't want to do too much, like I've said before, because this is, an annual comic for kids. Kids don't like to be talked down to. They don't like to be treated as idiots, but they're not as concerned about some things as we are. Yeah, sorry. But there's still things the kids are interested in, and I can play with it. I can have fun with that. And I've kind of been thinking that when I first started Captain Yuletide, I wanted to kind of play on Christmas themes, but I was thinking more along the lines of moral themes. And I think I can still do that, but I mean, really, it's kind of the same theme over and over. So what I'm also thinking is I want to play around with the lore, and knowing that there are these kind of bad companions. What was that site called again? The St. Nicholas Center says suggested that maybe it's to show that that good can always beat evil, so Santa Claus keeps these bad creatures down. And I kind of like that idea, and I can play with that with this comic. So I lost my thought. I don't know how I lost my thought, but I lost my thought. But it gives me more a different theme to play with, to actually play with Christmas lore and traditions and customs, and do a comic that's basically about that. That's about how Christmas is celebrated around the world, and to then come up with something interesting to make stories, or superhero stories around that, which can actually be kind of fun. I mean, I'm actually playing with Christmas lore that already exists, and then adding to it with my own ideas, and of course the whole superhero thing, and playing to why don't we see Christmas specials see that many so-and-so saving Christmas specials anymore? Because we have superheroes who do it for us, so we can just focus on enjoying Christmas and let someone else save Christmas, and we just keep the traditions alive. Because really, that's kind of what started Captain Yuletide is. You don't see too many specials anymore about saving Christmas. I mean, Hallmark seems to use Christmas as just another reason to do a romantic story, and you don't see a lot of the traditional Christmas specials being produced anymore. I mean, every now and then you may get something on home video, but you don't see anything on TV. There's no, we don't get to see Pac-Man or He-Man, She-Ra, or any of these other characters save Christmas or all this other stuff. So I kind of wanted to bring that concept back, and I decided to do it, of course, me being me, with superheroes. And that's where Captain Yuletide came in. And now thinking that I have this, expanded lore that's come down since the 1800s, and I can play with that, and I can use Christmas traditions and Christmas lore, and it's a way to explore Christmas around the world. It's a way to just kind of play with lore and everything, and make stories around that. And also, it's maybe not be the educational that I had planned, but I think it's the education that would be very interesting for stories and would work very well. And it's kind of a way to kind of play with what exists and still bring the meaning and spirit of Christmas to people through the traditions, but also through what those traditions stand for and why they exist. And that's the kind of things that I can work with and make some interesting superhero stories for. So that's the lore that I want to start putting together. And I think I'm going to start with my concepts for the reindeer, and then not necessarily going to do everything else in the order that that list is in, but I want to kind of do it in just those are the things that I'm thinking about, and some of them may be combined into one paper. I think the reindeer stuff will all be one paper. Santa stuff will all be Santa stuff, the Christmas village, and all that stuff will all be separate papers. And by the time I'm done writing this stuff, I'll have a lore built up that gives me a framework for what I want to do. And I can always, if I want to think about something else, I can always look into old Christmas stories and old traditions and customs, and then build my lore out from there. So I see a lot of production Bibles, the ones that I see anyway. Usually, you make the original Bible, and then everything else just comes from the story. But this book that I'm building is going to be more malleable. I mean, things are going to be updated constantly as I add to the story, or I find some interesting lore idea that I want to build with. Anything that appears in the comics, especially from here on out, is part of the comics world. So it's part of the world of Captain Yuletide. but to kind of build on that, maybe have supplementaries and updates, or even just completely take a paper out or even a character out and redo it from scratch. I think it's going to be a benefit. But the thing is, I need to have, say, this or that. If it's showing up in the comic, it is the official lore of the story. It is canon, and I'm not going to mess with canon just because I think I have an idea that I think sounds better. I should have had that before. It's a little late now. If I cannot work it into the story somehow, I will not use it. I'll save it for play with it something else. Maybe I can create a different Christmas universe. Maybe one of the other universes that I create, Christmas works slightly differently there than in the world of Captain Yuletide. This could be a different dimension from, say, Power Boy or Space Traveler or any of those. So the lore would be a bit different there. I can use those elements there and still have anything that's officially in the comic is the lore according to that universe. So every universe can be slightly different. And that's what I love about the concept of the multiverse is I can play around with stuff all I want. I don't need this, provided that each universe is consistent in and of itself. So that's my thought process for today. If you want to read Captain Yuletide, we'll put a link, an end card link here. You can see. And what I'll do is I'll put links to those 3 sites into the description of those pages if you want to check them out yourself and see, compare it to what I'm going to be coming up with in the days and weeks ahead as I continue to create the world of Captain Yuletide in my world building project, which hopefully will only be interrupted from here on out by having to do Jake and Leon and photo shoots for the clutter reports. So, okay. This I made a little workshop. I can't afford to buy one of those chain bases a lot of tour reviewers use, and my stuff's gonna be photos. So I'm kind of playing with the idea of being inside a warehouse. See, I'm very creative. I just need time to actually use my creativity, and that's what I've been kind of losing lately. But that's all for now, and I hope I don't know if you guys were able to see that with the end card, but at any rate, I wish you all happy creating.